Chapter 39 of Jin Ping Mei Chongzhen edition of Embroidered Portraits. Send a famous Dharma official to wear Taoist robes to pay tribute to enemies on their birthdays. The poem says, Wu Qingjai of the Han dynasty built an altar at night and poured bright water to offer offerings to the immortal officials. In front of the palace, a jade girl moves the incense table, and a golden man in the clouds holds a dew tray. When will Jiangji still fall asleep? Where can Bida be more beautiful than Luan? Bows and swords are buried in the mist of Maling Mausoleum, and the stone horses are silent, and the grass is cold. It is said that Simon King rested in Pan Jinlian's room that day. The woman couldn't wait to get into his belly, clinging to him in all kinds of ways on his pillow, crying in all kinds of ways, speaking softly, hoping to win the man's heart. Unexpectedly, Simon King stabbed Wang Liuer outside and bought him a house to live in on the east side of Shizi Street Stone Bridge. There are 2 rooms on the facade and 4 floors at the bottom. The first floor is for guests. The first floor is for worshipping Buddha statues and ancestors. The first floor is for housing. And the first floor is for the kitchen. Since he moved here, the neighbors knew that he was Simon King's clerk, and they didn't dare to neglect him. They all sent him tea boxes and went out of their way to congratulate him. The middle-aged people call him Brother Han and Sister-in-law Han. Those below are called Uncle and Aunt. When Simon Qingdan came to his house, Han Daguo stayed in the shop and taught his wife to play freely with him. Everyone in the neighborhood knows about this, and they are afraid that Simon King is rich and powerful, and no one dares to mess with him. I saw that Simon King also came to visit 3 or 4 times in 1 month, and the fight with Wang Liuer was as hot as charcoal. Look at the 12th lunar month. Simon King was at home sending festive gifts to the prefectures, counties, military guards, and main guards in Tokyo. A disciple of Wu Daoguang from the Jade Emperor Temple sent 4 boxes of gifts, including the Heaven and Earth Shoe, the New Year Talisman, and the Zizao Gao. Simon King was having dinner in his upper room when Diana brought in a note that read, Wu Zongzhi at the Wanghuang Temple path immediately bowed his head. Simon King looked at it and said, A monk, teach him to worry again. He ordered Diane to call the book boy. The son gave him 1 tael of silver and gave him a reply. Yunyang was nearby, and because of the topic, she said, A monk, you want to accept his gifts at the beginning and end of the year, and ask him to fulfill the wish you made for Sister Lee's child the day before yesterday. Simon King said, As soon as you mentioned it, I promised you 120 points, and I forgot about it. Yunyang said, It turns out you are a big liar, who is willing to forget. You just made a promise but didn't mean it. Next, the gods will remember it. The angry child chirped all day long, thinking it was him who had not repaid the wish. Simon King said, Since I said that, I will repay this vow in the Wu Daoguan Temple in the 1st month. That's all. Yunyang said, Sister Lee said yesterday that this child is a little sick and wants to ask for a nickname. Simon King said, Where can I ask for a nickname again? Just send the name to Wu Daoguan Temple. Come, he asked Dan, who in his temple is here. Dan said, It's his 2nd disciple Ying Chun who came with Li. As Simon King walked out, Ying Chun kowtowed quickly and said, My master pays homage to my father all the time, but I don't show any filial piety. I asked my young apprentice to come and give some gifts to my father to reward people. Simon King returned only half of the gift and said, Thank you, master, for your generous gift. Let him sit. Ying Chun said, How dare you sit on the trail? Simon King said, Sit down, I have something to say to you. The Taoist priest wore a small hat and a green cloth straight skirt. He humbled himself several times and then moved the chair to he sat down next to him and asked, What are your instructions, Dad? Simon King said, In the 1st month of the year, I have some vows. If I want to ask your master to return the child to me, I have to give him a name. I don't know your master. Do you have time? The apprentice quickly stood up and said, Dad has given me an order. If you ask me anything, I don't dare to agree. Excuse me, Dad, when is the date of the 1st lunar month? Simon King said, It will be said on the 9th day of the lunar month, sir. Let's do it on the 1st day. The disciple said, This day is Jian's birthday. Also, according to Jade Box, I asked Mr. Liu to celebrate the 5 blessings. It is very good to build a house and build a memorial ceremony. How much does it cost to pay for the memorial ceremony? Simon King said, "In the 7th month of this year, I made a promise of 120 cents for the birth of my son." The disciple asked again, "How many Taoists will be invited that day?" Simon King said, 16 people will be invited. After that, put the tables on the left and right to wait for tea. First, he gave him 15 taels of sutra money, and another 1 tael as a gift, and then said, "Your master doesn't need to prepare for the gifts from the Taoists. I'll even bring the incense and candles here." The Taoist priest he liked was pissed, and he was about to. I went out and thanked again and again, and kowtowed again and again. On the 8th day of the 1st lunar month, Daener first sent a stone of white rice, a load of jinjong, 10 pounds of official candles, 5 pounds of sandalwood and horse tooth incense, and 16 pieces of raw eye cloth for lining. He also sent a pair of Beijing duan, 2 jars of southern wine for fresh geese, for fresh chickens, a pair of pig's hooves, a leg of mutton, 10 taels of silver, and a gift of name to the official brother. Simon King posted a message in advance, asking Uncle Wu, Uncle Hua, Raul Yang, and Zishi to accompany him. Chen Jingji rode on his horse and went to the temple first to pay homage to Simon. On the 9th day of the lunar month, Simon King did not go to the Yamen. He went out of the east gate to the Jade Emperor Temple, riding a big white horse with his servants following him. From a distance, I saw colorful treasure flags and a tent crossing the street. After a while, I got off my horse in front of the mountain gate, opened my eyes and took a look. It was indeed a temple. But see, the green pines are lush and the cypresses are lush. Gold nails adorn the doors, jade bridges cast shadows on the palace officials. Green tiles have carved eaves, and embroidered curtains hang high over the sills. There are 7 main halls, with golden books hanging in the middle, 2 verandas, with colorful paintings of gods and generals. Outside the 3-day gate, Li Lu and Shi Kuang looked ferocious, and in front of the left and right steps, there were fierce tigers and green dragons. In front of the 8 treasures hall, there is an immortal jade girl standing in attendance, and on the 9 dragons' bed, there is an indestructible golden body sitting. When the golden bell strikes, the 3,000 worlds are all taken refuge. When the jade chime rings, all the phenomena are at their peak. In the Chaotian Pavilion, the wind blows the sound of steps. In the performance altar, you can often hear the sound of immortal pendants in the moonlit night. Since then, it has become the true Purple Mansion. Where can I find Peng Lai? Simon King entered through the main gate and saw on the first meteor gate a 7-foot-high vermilion plaque stand with 2 rows of pairs of gates and a big book. The ecliptic sky opens, the 9 heavens open and close with auspiciousness, and the golden and green cover spreads too. Extend the grace. Vishwan altar is bright and sunny. Visit the banners of all saints and recite the Baoji Yao chapter to explain it. When we arrived at the treasure hall, there was a 24-character inscription hanging on the altar, which was written in a big book. Ling Bao thanks heaven and earth, repays the country for kindness, turns the jade pivot 9 times, pays tribute to the alliance, and sends names, and good luck fills the altar. A couplet on both sides. The ultimate is established innately, admiring the majesty of the great road, and being mediocre to the extreme. Emperor Hao lives in high esteem, appreciates the power of Qingshu, and reports his great kindness. When Simon King entered the incense table in the altar, a little boy next to him washed his hands in a basin and knelt down to offer incense. After Simon King bowed and knelt on the altar, he saw Wu Daoguan wearing a jade ring on his head, a 9-yang thunder scarf, a sky blue 28-year-old crane cloak with large sleeves, and a ribbon tied around his waist. He hurriedly came down from the sutra banquet and said to Simon King, "The little Taoist is wrongly loved by my father," received heavy gifts one after another, which made Xiao Dao disrespectful and felt ashamed. It was my brother who sent me his name, and Xiao Dao's gifts should be congratulated. It would prolong life. Why did I have such a generous reward from my father? I was really ashamed. The scriptures were too generous, making the path even more uneasy. Simon King said, "It's hard work, but nothing can be paid for it. It's just an expression of a small gift." After reciting the ceremony, the Taoists on both sides came to pay their respects. On the one hand, I invite the abbot outside. There are 3 factory halls called Song Hekxuan, where tea is waiting. As soon as Simon King sat down, he ordered the chess boy, "Get the horse to pick up your second father. I'm afraid he doesn't have a horse." "Why haven't we come yet?" Diane said. "The donkey that my brother-in-law is riding is still here." Simon King said, "Forget it. Ride quickly and pick him up." The chess boy agreed and went. After Wu Daoguan finished reciting the sutra, he came down to hand out tea, sat with Simon King, and said, "Dad, please be more sincere in your respect for God. I have been up since the 4th watch and have gone to the altar to recite various immortal sutras. Today, I have done 3 dynasties and 9 rounds of Jade Shu Dharma, completely done. I also wrote the official brother's birthday in a separate document and named it in front of the 3 treasures. He named it Wu Yingyuan. I will always maintain wealth and prosperity. Here on the trail, I added another 24 points to thank heaven and earth, and 12 points to celebrate God. 24 cents are recommended for death, and a total of 180 cents are listed for the memorial ceremony." Simon King said, "How troublesome you are." After a while, he beat the Dharma drum and invited Simon King to come to the altar to read the documents. Simon King changed into a bright red and colorful lion patchwork suit and tied a gold rhino horn belt around his waist. When he arrived at the altar, there was a confession in Jiangyi beside him, and he first recited the intention of fasting during the Song dynasty. He lived in the archway of King County, Shandong Province. He worshipped Taoism, prayed for favors, and paid tribute to security guards. He was a trustworthy official, Simon King. He was born on the 28th day of July in the Bingyan year, and his wife was Wu. His birth date was August 15th, the Wukan year. Shi Jiancheng confessed, "There are still treasures. The path has not been added." Simon King said, "You only add Li." Jian was born on the 15th day of the 1st lunar month of the Shinwei year, with the same male official brother, on the 23rd day of the 7th month of the Bingshan year. "Please let me know when you are here." After reading the confession, he led his family and others to surrender on the same day and paid homage to Jin Hongzhao. Fu Nianqing was a mediocre student with no talent. "Every time I go in and out of my daily life, I feel the protection of the dragon and heaven. When the weather is cold and hot, I am always supported by the divine." He was assigned to the martial arts class, and he was appointed as the Imperial Guard. He was favored by Nguang and enjoyed the abundance of talismans. Therefore, King Zhao was built, with a total of 24 points, to repay the great kindness of heaven and earth, and to reward the emperor for his great blessings. I also performed the 12th position of the King Zhao ceremony to celebrate the emperor's birthday. On his birthday, introduce the 5 blessings to achieve prosperity, and fly down from the heavens. On the 23rd day of the 7th month of the year, the concubine Li gave birth to a son, a male official, and she wanted to pray for a safe and prosperous delivery. I also wished to send the male official brother to His Highness Sanbao, give him the name Wu Yingyuan. Tell Zhu Qingjia to be 120 points, and continue GQ's heir to ensure that his lifespan will be extended. Attached are the souls of 3 generations of Ximen family members, the ancestor Ximen Jingliang, the descendant Li family, the first Kaozi Mainda, the descendant Jia family, and the former family member Chen family. Therefore, by cultivating the 12 points of Qingjia, the blessings, Taoist power, and all the prescriptions can be realized. A total of 180 places were listed for the immortal Zhao. On the 9th day of the 1st lunar month of the 3rd year of Xuanhe's reign, I would like to visit the Jade Palace of Great Compassion, build spiritual treasures, thank heaven and earth, repay the country and alliance, celebrate the gods and security, send my name to the Jade Palace, and spread good luck. A full day and night of fasting. The Lord of the 3 realms of Yen, the Emperor of the 10,000 heavens, one of them is Zhenan, Xizhigong and Deji. With unified capital and Taoist power, blessings will come. Sincerely, after announcing the intention of the fast, many documents, talismans, and confessions were laid out. Please read them one by one. There are 1890 in total, which are very neat and detailed. Also, Guangir sent many documents, talismans, and ultimatums under the shade of Sanbao, and I had no time to read them carefully. Simon King saw that Dao Guanwu was very troubled, so he burned incense and drew documents in front of the case. He asked his left and right to hold a ruler and draw calligraphy with Daoguan Wu. Wu Daoguan insisted on resigning repeatedly, and then ordered the boy to accept it. Then a Taoist priest beat the Dharma drum toward the corner of the hall, like a spring thunder. All the Taoists gathered together, and a group of music started playing. Wu Daoguan wears a red and 5-color Dharma cloak, wears red shoes on his feet, holds a toothwad in his hand, issues documents, and goes to the altar to summon the generals. Bells are ringing on both sides. The arrangement led Simon King into the altar and offered incense to the left and right sides of the 3 treasures case. Simon King opened his eyes and looked. Sure enough, the altar was laid out neatly. But see, the positions are divided into 5 directions, and the altar is divided into 8 levels. The upper part offers 3 invitations to the 4 emperors. The side is divided into 8 poles and 9 sky. The middle is mountains and rivers, and the lower part is the officials of the underworld. The fragrance is filled with auspicious mist, and thousands of painted candles are flowing. Flowers are gathered in brocade feast, and hundreds of silver lamps are spreading their colors. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion has a high feather canopy. The Jade Emperor Hall is densely covered with banners and flags. When the golden bell strikes, the high-ranking master plays the role of the Void Emperor in tiptoe. When the jade pendant rings, everyone talks about going to the altar to pay homage to the Jade Emperor. The crimson gauze clothes. The stars are brilliant. The beauty is covered with gold and green. The god general who oversees the altar is ferocious, and his meritorious deeds are fierce and brave. The green dragon faintly comes to the ecliptic, and the white crane flutters down from the purple sky. As soon as Simon King came down from the altar to burn incense, he was invited to sit in the Song Hekshun Pavilion where brocade carpets were spread on the floor, and animal charcoal was burned in the stove. After a while, Count Ying and Zizide arrived. After the song was finished, each person was given a star of tea money and said, "I'm going to send you some tea. It's a long way. These little thoughts are just what I need for a cup of tea." Simon King didn't accept the answer and said, "No, it's a long way." Annoying. Zishan asked you to come and sit with me. What are you doing for a living? I'll have some tea here at Wu's house. Earl Ying quickly sang again and said, "Brother, is it true? I always return it. Just take it." Yin looked at Zizida and said, "It's you who do this business. I said I won't accept it, so I took it out and provoked him to say a few words." After a long time, Uncle Wu and Huaziu arrived. Each person came to order tea with 2 boxes of fine tea and snacks, and Simon King ordered Wu Daoguan to accept them. After tea, we set up a vegetarian meal together, with salty vegetarian food, snacks, soup and rice, which was very rich and clean. Simon King had breakfast with him. It turns out that Wu Daoguan called a storyteller to talk about the Western Han Dynasty commentary. Hong Menhui. Wu Daoguan handed out the document and came to sit with him and asked, "Brother, are you coming today?" Simon King said, "That's right. He's still a kid. I'm afraid the long road ahead will scare him and he won't be able to come. By noon, bring him the clothes he is wearing. In front of the 3 treasures, if he has been photographed, it will be normal." Wu Daoguan said, "Xiao Dao also cares about it like this. It is best." Simon King said, "It's nothing else. He is just a little timid." At home, 3 or 4 maids and even the foster mother took turns to look at him, but they were just afraid. Cats and dogs didn't dare to come to him. Uncle Wu said, "It's so easy for the children to feed themselves." Just as he was talking, Diane came in and said, "Aunt Gui and Aunt Yin sent Li Ming and Wu Hu to bring tea." Simon King said, "Tell him to come in." Li Ming and Wu Hu knelt down with 2 boxes and opened them. Skin cakes, pine flower cakes, sugar longevity cakes, and rose rolls. Simon Qingju ordered Wu Daoguan to take it away because he asked Li Ming, "How do you know this?" Li Ming said, "When I saw Uncle Chen riding on the road this morning, I asked him about it, and I found out that my father was doing good things here today. I will tell you when I get home." Sister Gui and Third Ma said that they came here after making an appointment with Sister Wu Yin. "I wanted to come to see you in person, but I didn't get it. This course tea is just a treat with my father." Simon King said, "You 2 are waiting for the meal." Wu Daoguan asked the 2 of them to go down and have their own place to sit, and even his subordinates had a good meal. "Stop talking nonsense. At noon, after paying homage to the bride, Wu Taoist official prepared a large table, a jar of Jinhua wine, his brother's green satin and gold bun, a black silk Taoist robe, and a green cloud, a small satin shirt, a pair of white silk socks, a pair of kingless silk shoes, a yellow velvet sash, a yellow thread under the three treasures, a purple thread in front of the descendants, and a pair of silver necklaces with strips engraved on them. The hall is full of gold and jade, long life and wealth. A red silk talisman was written on the yellow silk talisman, which red Tai commanded the order. Talion combined with health. It was tied on the yellow thread and was served in a square plate. For more, a plate of soup and fruit is placed on the table. The boy was sent to wrap up the scriptures in a red paper bundle. He listed the religious rituals performed in the 3 dynasties and listed the festivals one by one. He asked Simon King to read them before putting them into the box. A total of about 8 loads were delivered to Simon King's house. Simon King was very happy and quickly sent the chess boy to his house to reward the Taoist boy with 2 handkerchiefs and 1 tael of silver. Let's say that it was Pan Jinlian's birthday. Wu Dejinzi, Grandma Pan, Miss Yang, and Sister Yu were all sitting in Yunyang's upper room. Seeing that the temple had brought food, many soups and fruits, and gifts, for tables had been set up, but they couldn't fit them all, so they all came out to watch. Jinlian said, "Sisterly, why don't you come out and take a look? Your son's master has come to the temple to bring gifts, and he also has his little Taoist crown and bun, and his Taoist clothes. Oh, look, it's small shoes again." Meng Yulu walked forward, picked it up and looked at it in his hand, and said, "Sister, you see that the Taoist family is also very sophisticated. These little shoes, with white silk soles, are all covered with inverted needles. The locks are also very delicate. That's good. I said he dared to have a wife. Otherwise, how could he be so good at stitching?" Wu Yunyang said, "I can't say. He is a monk and has a wife there. He must have hired someone to do it." Pan Jinlian took it over, said, "Taoist priests have wives, like the good sweat towels that Master Wang and the Great Master will choose. Could it be that they also have men?" Aunt Wang said, "To the Taoist priest's house, cover your head and don't go there, just like my monk's house. You can recognize it through action." Jinlian said, "I heard that behind the Guanin temple where you live is Tuanming temple. As the saying goes, if the male monk temple faces the female monk temple, there will be nothing wrong." Yunyang said, "This 6th sister, what a shame." Jinlian said, "This is the purple thread lock with the names of his master and his mother-in-law, and this silver neck talisman, with 8 characters printed in silver on it, looks good with it. On the back is his name, Wu Yuan." The chess boy said, "This is the Dharma name Wu Yingyuan given by his master." Jinlian said, "This is the word Ying." She shouted, "Sister, Taoist priests are rude. Why did you change the child's surname?" Yunyang said, "You don't think it's rude." Li Ping'er said, "Go and pick up your son. Put on this clothes. I'll see if it's okay." Li Ping'er said, "He just fell asleep. And you brought him out again." Jinlian said, "It doesn't matter. Just rub him to wake him up." Then Li Ping'er is really gone. Pan Jinlian, who knew how to read, took out the red paper bag and pulled out the scriptures that were sent to him. When he saw the Wu family who lived in the same room under Simon King above, and only Li family next to him, there was no one else. He felt a little unhappy and showed it to everyone. "You say he is a 3rd-class strongman. Do you think he is partial or not? It only says having children, and I am not counted, and all of them are marked as superfluous names." Meng Yulu asked, "Do you have an eldest sister?" Jinlian said, "It would be funny not to have an eldest sister." Yunyang said, "That's fine. If you have one, it's just average. Could there be a group of people in your family who would also write down? Provoking, aren't Taoist priests laughing at you?" Jinlian said, "Am I always Liu Zhainer's ghost? Compared with that untalented one, that one was not raised in 10 months. Just as he was talking, Li Ping'er hugged Brother Guan from the front. "Come," Meng Yulu said. "Bring the clothes and wait for me to put them on for my brother." Li Ping'er was holding Li Ping'er while Meng Yulu put on a bun for him, a necklace and 2 ropes, which fooled the child into thinking nothing. I kept it closed and didn't dare to vent my anger for a long time. Yulu put on the Taoist robe for him. Wu Yunyang told Li Ping'er, "Take this sutra, take it to the Buddhist hall behind, and burn it at home. Then Li Ping'er went. Yulu hugged the child and said, wearing these clothes, you are just a little Taoist priest. Jin Lian took it and said, what a little Taoist priest. He looks like a little Tai. Yunyang said sternly, sick sister. What are you talking about? In front of the children. You will almost die. Jin Lian was speechless and fell silent. Once, the child was scared with his clothes on and started crying. Li Ping'er came over and quickly took it over. When she was taking off his clothes, she pooped on his skirt. Meng Yulu smiled and said, what a good Wu Ying Yuan. It turns out that he also has a tray for shitting. Yunyang quickly asked Xiao Yu to wipe it with tissue paper for him. After a while, the child fell asleep in Li Ping'er's arms. Li Ping'er said, little brother is sleepy. Mommy will send you to the front to sleep. Wu Yunyang scattered the table and invited D'Agency, Young Nying and Grandma Pan to come out to eat. Look at the late arrival. It turns out that on the 8th day of the lunar month, Simon King held a ritual ceremony and did not use meat or wine. Pan Jinlian had not lived until late that night, so she waited until tonight when she came home to serve him wine and stood at the door, not wanting to wait until sunset. Chen Jingji and Diane came home from Kituku. Pan Jinlian asked, your father is here? Jingji said, Dad was afraid that he would not be able to come. When I came, the wedding ceremony was not over yet, so I bowed and repented. I was afraid that I would not get married. There was a Taoist priest who was King Grao Sifang, and he also I want to thank you for the wine. After hearing this, Jin Lian was speechless. She went back to the upper room and said to Yunyang, Blind Jia passed on the exercises. He has been doing it since the 5th watch. He plundered the liver and intestines through the wall. He is completely determined. Daodo's straps are broken, there's no need to trip. I was standing at the door just now, and I saw brother-in-law Chen coming, saying that my father is not coming, and the wedding ceremony is not over yet, so I will send him home first. My mother said, if he doesn't come, let's take it easy every night, and listen to Master and Master Wang talking about cause and effect and singing Buddhist songs. Just as he was saying this, Chen Jingji opened the curtain and came in, already half asleep, and said, I'm here to kowtow to Wu Niang. He asked the eldest sister, there is a bell. Let's find a place to sift wine and pass it to Wu Niang. The eldest sister said, where are you looking for a bell? I just want to kowtow to Wu Niang. Here we are. Come back and wait for me to deliver it. Look at his drunken tone. It just so happens that today is a wedding ceremony, so I have no choice but to come home with you and eat like a fool.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.